Hello, Facebook. We are live in both places. I'm Rick Dancer, and welcome to Get Real with Rick Dancer. Tonight we are brought to you by Any Lab Test Now over in Eugene, where people like me can go and have any lab test done, over 8,000 different tests. Everything from your insulin level to your testosterone level to STD testing. They do it all. You can do insulin, blood work, anything like that. So you don't have to have your doctor's permission because they have a doctor there that can do that for you. So they're the sponsor of our show tonight. But I had a kind of a heady question for you guys today. What I want to know, my business coach, I just had a meeting with her, and she's pretty damn awesome. And she said to me, what is the story that 2020 is going to tell about your life in 3 years? So let's say that we are in 2023, and you're looking back, because there's this school of thought, and I agree with it. I think sometimes we can create our own story. And so what's the story we want to tell about this? What happened here? And so she was asking me to do this, and I went, God, what is it? What is the story that I want to tell about my life in 3 years? So here's what mine would look like. It would look like this. My story is about the story of two Matts. One Matt who lost his home in a fire. The other Matt, a friend of mine, who walked over to him and handed him a couple of $100 and made him cry. And for the rest of the day, I saw online, he said, I can't stop crying because of the generosity of one man that I don't even know. That's part of my story. My story is also about two beers. Two beers that the guy at Tap and Growler gave me, the owner, when he discovered that my wife and I had been evacuated from our home over fire. 2 beers, that's all it was, but it meant the world. Another 2 beers from Garrett over at Northwest Burger. When we went in there one night to just hang out and be around people, and he bought me a couple of beers because of that. My story is also about a woman named Monique. Monique is a friend of ours, and Monique works at the Valley River Inn. And when she heard that we were going to be homeless, what Monique did was got us a discounted rate at the hotel where we stayed for a week. My story in 2020 is going to be about my neighbors next door, a pastor and his wife at our house, praying with us over our homes for protection, and the moment that they had and their concern in our home. My story is about you and the fear that what you gave to me by asking me questions and concerned about my life, about what was going on in my world. That's part of my story. The concern that we had. My story is going to be about COVID, but not much about COVID. It's more about the recuperation from COVID and your response and reaction to what happened when that smoke hit is what I'm going to remember. Because humanity came alive again. The smoke brought us together. It gave us permission to care again about doing things for each other. Something that felt lost for the last 8 months for me. It gave us a reason to do things. The stories that we tell, the reason this is really important to do is because we do create the story of our life. How we think about life is what happens. It doesn't mean there's not things that are thrown into your way, but how you respond to those and how you move past those is so important, and we can. And we can create how that works. Now, we can't change circumstances, but we can certainly speak life into our life. I had a couple of really interesting things happen today, and I'm going to be somewhat careful. But this morning I woke to an email from a gentleman telling me that his two grown kids don't like me, and that I had a bunch of weird people on my page, and they don't like who I am, and I was assuming that this gentleman didn't either. So I wrote him back a response and just said, that's kind of weird that you would say that on my page. And, but you're right. There are a lot of weird people on here. And then this afternoon, the comment was pulled, and a new comment from him saying, I'm sorry for what I wrote earlier today. That's what I want my story to be. A story about people that we are working together, like we're okay. It's okay to make mistakes, and his comments just absolutely changed the way my day was going this afternoon. Not because he likes me, but because he apologized. And that's pretty powerful stuff. The other story I want to tell you real quick as part of my story is the story of a man at my gym who we were talking the other day, and he said that his wife was from McMinnville, Oregon. My family's not me, but my family's from McMinnville, Oregon. And I said, my grandma, I was really, really close to my grandmother. And I said, my grandma used to teach at Cook Elementary School. And he goes, oh, I'll have to see if my wife knows who that, went there or what she knows about it or anything. This morning he comes in and walks into the gym, and I'm on the bike, and he walks in and he says, Rick, you're never going to believe it. I went home to my wife and I said, Rick Dancer was talking today about his grandma teaching in McMinnville. And what school did you go to? And she says, Cook Elementary. And he said, well, who was your favorite teacher? And she started to cry. And she said, oh my God, Frances Maxwell. I loved her. Frances Maxwell is my grandma. Yeah. She's still talking to me. What do I want my story to be about in 2023? About 2020? I want it to be about stuff like that. I want it to be about lives well lived. The story I'm going to create about 2020 is about people that helped, people that came out of the woodwork, people that picked up other people's animals, people that worked hard to make sure people were safe from the fire, people that cared, people that connected, people that said they're sorry. Yeah, that's what I am going to remember. So what are you going to remember? And I know some of this might sound a little hokey for some of you, but I believe it with everything inside of me. We do, I'm not trying to get religious on you and stuff. I'm a God-fearing man, although the woman that wrote me last night and said she heard me say fuck, and that I can't be a believer if I say fuck. So I said, I don't think Jesus really thinks that. So, but I kind of said it in a rude way. But anyway, I digress. I really do believe that our life is like we are in this thing, creating a story, co-authored with God, the creator, whatever you want to call it. And we're creating this story about life and what we're doing. And things get thrown in our way or at us or around us, like COVID and a forest fire and these kind of different things that happen. And those are hiccups and bumps and places that go, and our job is to go in those, go through them, go around them, go over them, but don't try to avoid them. And then through that, bringing different characters into our lives, different people. No good story goes without good characters. So bring the odd people, bring the weirdos like you guys into your life, and see what you create out of this thing. I mean, you get one life, and I'm not talking about the afterlife. I'm saying on this earth, I get one chance at this thing, and I want to do it loud. I want to do it strong. I want to do it without fear. I want to do it on the terms that are set before me. I don't want to be in a rut. I don't ever want to get stuck. And I want it to be, I don't think it's wrong. I want it to be big. You know what I mean? I don't want to live a life that isn't worth reading. I want to live out loud and strong and helping people and not caring what people think of me and moving forward. And 2020, I want to look at 2020 as an education year, a year I learned to overcome. And whether that's overcoming someone else's control or whether overcoming adversity. I saw somebody on here wrote, I can't see it as well on here because I have you leaned up against a Kleenex box, so I'm having trouble. I'm learning how to do this differently. They were saying, I want to be authentic and real. That's why I call my show Get Real with Rick Dancer. That's why I have great clients like Any Lab Test Now, who sponsor stuff like this, that we can just talk because they care about conversation. They care about people and what we're doing. Last month, we had over 300,000 views and that was just on Facebook. That doesn't count Instagram. Because you know what? People are longing for the truth, and they're longing for a voice, and for someone to listen, and to someone to just say things. And I think we've created a culture right now that's really afraid to stand up for anything, and it's really afraid to. I'm having trouble the most. I'm missing not seeing the comments. So I'm going to take Facebook or Instagram. Hold on. I'm going to do you a little differently. Let's see if I can put you. Hold on. You guys just hold on. If you saw how I do this, you would be laughing your head off. Okay. So now I can do it. Except now I have trouble on these ones like this. There we go. You should really be on Netflix, bro. The whole world can watch you. Yeah. Jason, if you want to show me how to do that, that would be great. I think that this fire has given me a renewed faith in mankind. And I don't renew faith in mankind very easily. Nobody should want to forget 2020. We'll always remember and learn and grow from it. And if you don't grow, what are you doing? Oh, wow, Deborah, you wrote a book. Just one more chapter. Here I am, spared, living, caring by sharing. Caring by sharing. Maybe something, or interpret something. I need awareness or enlightenment. As long as no one comes at me raging and full of hate, I can listen. I'm with you on that one, baby. Oh, and I don't use that in a sexist way. Yeah. Well, honestly, that's really what I wanted to say tonight. I think it's important that I think part of growing is knowing what to take out of your life. I blocked a lot of people recently, and I don't feel bad about it at all. Um, I spun into a pit of hellish despair, but I chose vulnerability and took a huge risk in telling my employers the truth about where I was. The risk paid off, and I am back on fire and have their full support. Vulnerability is a powerful tool. Richard Miller, you get the point of the day. I think he's right. Is honesty, vulnerability, letting people in our lives, and I think ignoring the noise. There's just a lot of noise out there. I think making assumptions about people, and we all do it. I think though we have to kind of fight the urge to make judgments about other people and what they're doing and why they're doing it. I think that gets us into a lot of trouble. What I do also find is when I'm open to people and open to different things, like the guy at the gym, just having a conversation with him, turns out he totally blesses me with a story about my grandma and how much this lady loved her. I mean, who gets that? Hold on, I've also blocked many lately. Negative out. Yeah, I never used to do that, and now I just, and I'm not saying I'm always Mr. Perfect. I mean, you guys are here, I mean, I overreact to stuff sometimes too. Too many Karens out there. I stayed at an Airbnb one night, and the lady wanted me to wear a mask in her house. I walked out the door and canceled the trip and booked another. Well, there you go. So much love and respect to you and your beautiful wife. Thank you. I appreciate that. She was just here. Every day is a gift from God. That's why we call it present. Twofold meaning. I like that. That's kind of fun. Yes, we need to overcomers. Challenging times can actually catapult us forward faster. And see, that's what I saw, like when I was over at the Silky Field when they were handing out supplies and stuff over there. And, Bart, the owner of Planktown Pizza and Hilltop and Sam Bonds and the Axe and Fiddle, he was giving so much food away. And he came up, and the night before, his chef had purchased my wife's and my dinner because she knew we were evacuated. And I don't even know how to tell you. I don't know. I don't know what that is. But when somebody does something like that, so unexpected, that act of kindness, it's almost like those defibrillators that they put on your heart. I think it kind of jolted us, and we went, "Oh my God, people are still nice." COVID didn't kill kindness. It tried, but it's still in there. And when the chef at Planktown bought our dinner, and then the next day I'm telling Bart about it, and he's in tears, it's just it's like this humanity came alive inside of us, and we realized, oh my God, this is crazy. So watching it come together. Yeah, the fires, and I'm not going to sit here and there's a lot of people that are suffering. So here's what we can do. Here's some action steps that we can all take is on October 3rd, they're putting together a big kind of a work party up the McKenzie River. And I don't have the information here. I'm just going to get you excited about it, and then I'll give you more information. But a bunch of people are going to go up there, and we're just going to do things for people who've lost their homes or lost things at their yards or whatever. Mostly what we're going to do is just love on them. And it's not a church thing. It's not a county instructed thing. It's not a government thing. This is just a bunch of us who are pulling together and doing it because we want to, and if any of those of you that pay attention to me very often, that love is an action word. You can't love and not do something. That's not love. Community is an action word. You can't be part of a community and not do anything. If you don't do anything and you're in a community, you're just a big turd. I was going to say a big fucking turd, but I need to stop using that word so much. Or do I? I don't know. If you, to care means you have to do something. It's an action word. So if we're going to love and care for these people, we can't just go, oh, I'm so sorry that you lost your house and everything in it. No, we need to go and make things better. We need to go and help and do something. And it's not out of guilt, it's out of love. And it's out of responsibility. There's a word that you don't hear much anymore. See, because I think we can turn this thing around. I really do. I feel like we're on a ship. There's still a lot of shit going on. And there's a lot of government. I'm sorry, I'm not a truster of much. I was a reporter for too long, and I've seen too many sleazy, shitty political types do really dumb things. So there's still a bunch of shit going on. But we don't have to focus on that. We can go, doesn't mean we ignore it. Doesn't mean we're not aware of it. We're not stupid. Doesn't mean we don't vote. If you don't vote, then don't bitch. If you don't participate in the election, I don't want to hear one single thing, a peep out of your mouth. You have no right to speak because you didn't go to the ballot box and make a choice. We're in this position that we're in now because so many people in Oregon are apathetic and they just gave up. Well, you can't give up or you're not part of the state. If you're somebody who gives up, get the hell out of Oregon and go put your head up your ass somewhere else and cry. Because we don't have room for that anymore. We need to be involved and be part of the conversation, all of us. So that means the conversation becomes about many different sides of an issue, not just one. And so then we come up with the big, nasty, horrible, scary, scary word called compromise rather than control. Right now we live in a Oregon of control. We need an Oregon of compromise so that all ideas are coming to the table and talked about. Now, this isn't going to go over well because once somebody gains control and owns something, it's hard to get it out of their hands. What we need to understand is that they need to understand is they don't really own it. Who do you think you'll vote for president? I wouldn't tell you for anything in the world. I don't tell anybody who I vote for. None of your damn business. And I'm not being rude. Maybe I am, but I'm just saying. No, because then all people do then is say, oh, well, see, you're like it. I've been here. I've done this too long. I'm 61 years old, okay? Only a fool tells all he knows. I don't give that out. But if you don't vote, you don't speak. Or on my page, if you don't vote, if you're bitching about something and you didn't vote, I'll just pull you off. I have no patience for people who just want to get on here. I had a boss one time. If one of our news people went into his office and bitching about something, the first thing he'd say is stop. What's your solution? What's your idea for a solution? If you said you didn't have one, he'd tell you get the hell out of his office and come back when you did. I love that man. I learned so much from him because it was like, you know what? It's so easy to just bitch. It's much harder to come up with a plan. And that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to speak life into this whole thing, and you are too. This is how we're going to do it. It's not a question of, and we're not going to bring up, well, yeah, but we have to. No. The past is the past. Now we're moving forward. Okay, Madam Governor, you're our leader, but we're your boss. And so you're going to start listening to what we say. Madam and gentlemen legislators in Oregon, you too are going to understand that you work for us. State agencies, county commissioners, we put you there so you do what we want, not what you want. And so we're going to start telling you what it is that we want. And the first thing we want is to be part of the conversation because we're creating a new story in Oregon. We're creating a story where rural people and urban people have the same equal voice. Equal. We're creating an Oregon where one party doesn't own the conversation and where two parties don't own the conversation because there are so many disaffiliated voters in this state like me non-affiliated voters, and I have a voice too. And I don't want to be part of your dumb party system because it's gotten us where we are today, and I don't want to be any part of that. And neither do more than half the other Oregonians. We're also going to be a state that votes. So all those people who are not even registered to vote, and you're a huge chunk out there, get your ass online and register to vote. Just register non-affiliated voter. You don't have to be a Democrat or Republican or even an independent, because independent is a party. Remember that. They're just like all the rest. Non-affiliates are people who are tied to no party. So then we're going to once we get our voice back, then we can start collaborating. We can start bringing up different ideas, like with this fire. Let's talk about climate change, but then let's also talk about forest management. We're going to talk about forest management. We're talking about both, because both are probably part of the problem. And it's not a one thing solution. So we're going to do that. And how are we going to make that happen? We're just going to demand it. We're Oregon, you and me. We've been told, we've been convinced that they run the show. And what we're going to show them is that we run the show again. Is it going to take some time? Sure. Are we going to pretend like it's going to happen overnight? No. But we're also not going to talk negatively and say they'll never listen. No, they're going to listen, because that's how it is. We're the boss. We run the show. And it's going to take time to turn that around. But they'll get used to it. I mean, they really will. They'll get used to it. I mean, it's hard. You know, it's hard when you've controlled everything for so long, and then all of a sudden, this group of people comes in, and we're not angry, we're firm. There's a difference. I don't need to be angry. I need to be firm. So I'm not mad at you, but you're going to do what we tell you to do. That's just the way it's going to be. So anyway, that's my story for 2020. Is going to be the year that the divide happened, that people rose up, all the people, and we said we're willing to compromise and come up with a solution that either makes everybody mad or everybody happy. When I was a reporter, if you made everybody happy, you didn't do a fair job. So we need a plan that doesn't make anybody happy, that makes everybody satisfied, and that we work together. And then we'll go from there. That's what 2020. What a great year. I'm not going to say this is a bad year. I'm not going to say I love this year. But you know what? It's that maybe this is how it had to come to for Oregonians to find out who we really are and what we're made of and what we're capable of. And I say, let's just go get out a can of kick ass, some whoop ass, and go make some noise. Make some noise. And this isn't yelling. So be kind. Remember, we're the old new Oregon. We're independent. We want equality for all people, but we don't want you ripping up our cities and rioting. We want you to protest. We really like that when you tell us what we are doing, that we need to do better. We want you to teach us, but we don't want you to shove it down our throats. And in the process, you can't rip up our cities. We don't listen to that. It's not something we hear. We hear kindness, forcefulness is fine. Passion. I want to know that I'm doing what I'm doing wrong and what's not working. But don't rip up my state. Don't destroy things. And it's time that we have a conversation about all these things like that. There are solutions. We can find them. But we all need to be part of that conversation. And do we, the white people, need to be listening more? You bet. I'm not Black. I don't know what that feels like. I don't know what is experienced. I want to know that. And I need to know that to make informed, good choices. But when people are ripping up my cities, I have a hard time listening to anything. That's any person when they're not having a conversation, when they're telling me what I'm going to do. I don't respond well to that. So let's have a conversation about all these things. All of it. And what if everything was on the table and then we had to take all of our old feelings about them and push them aside and come in fresh? Maybe that's what 2020 does. It's so shitty right now that maybe we can realize that it's getting very close to the bottom. And I don't want to go all the way. I don't want to find out where the bottom ends. I would like to figure this out ahead of time. So thank you for being here. Thanks for chatting. If you disagree with me, that is 100% okay. But keep it to yourself. I don't need to know if you don't like me. I don't care. I mean, I don't mean that in a flippant way. I just mean, let's just keep this, kind and interesting and see what's happening. So again, I want to thank Any Lab Test Now, our sponsor. They are wonderful people, and they're doing some innovative stuff over there. And it's just so nice when they allow you to take care of your health care. So you don't have to go to the doctor to get lab work done. If you just want to monitor your own health for a while, and then if something shows up, you can go to your doctor and ask questions. I do that with my PSA. There's a lot of things I want control of my health. And Any Lab Test Now over on Garfield gives me the opportunity and the means to be able to do that. All right. Have a good day. I'm Rick Dancer, and I'm going to go out in the smoke, go home, have a gin and tonic, and enjoy my family, my wife. Had a long week. Oh, and one other thing, just because we are all here, thank you so much for the kindness that you've shown my Kathy and me through all this and your concern. We're lucky. We're super lucky because we have our home. And there's a bunch of people that don't. But all your thoughts, your prayers, your little comments, how's your house? Are you guys okay? All that kind of stuff, it matters. It adds up and it matters. And it makes it so that we can move on day to day. So I think my sister Judy just came on here. So Judy, I have to tell you the greatest story. I'm going to tell other people are going to have to listen again. But Judy, you have to, this is my twin sister, Judy. That's her over here. So Judy, there's this guy at my gym. And the other day we're talking, and his wife's from McMinnville. And so we were chatting, and I said, well, my grandma used to teach at Cook Elementary. And so he comes in today, and he goes, oh, my God, Rick, you'll never believe this. I went home, and I said to my wife, what grade school did you go to? And she goes, I went to Cook Elementary, Cook School. And he said, who was your favorite teacher? And she started to cry. And she said, Frances Maxwell. And he looked at her and he goes, that's Rick Dancer's grandma. And she's like, what? He goes, Frances Maxwell was Rick Dancer's grandma. And he said all night she had tears in her eyes, talking about things that grandma had done for her and how she cared about all the kids that didn't fit in and how she was like, that she meant so much to this lady. Is that not the coolest thing? It's our grandma. And she's been dead for 37 years, and she's still impacting the lives of people. Is that what you want in your life? I want my story to continue when I'm dead. I don't give a shit if you remember Rick Dancer or not. Nobody's going to care about what kind of house I had, whether I was on the fucking news or not. Nobody cares. But what you leave behind in people resurfaces in their lives and other stuff. And that is what it means to live an authentic and a truthful life. All right. Have a good night.